Welcome back to 3B Farm. We're here for another week on the farm. We're going to have some beautiful weather this week, so we're going to try to get a whole lot accomplished on the farm. Alright, so we do have a whole week in the 60s and 70s, several full sunshiny days. So we got a lot to do. Spring is here basically. If not officially on the calendar, there's just tons of stuff that we got to be getting done. I've got plants to upgrade, I've got cuttings to do, I've got plants to put in the ground. I still need to enclose the last little bit of the end of that fenced in area so I can get some fruit trees and stuff in the ground in there. With the temperatures the way they are, I've got to do a lot more watering as well to keep stuff alive that I've already grown. So we're going to jump into this week and see what all we can get accomplished.
One of the things I'm going to start with this week is this whole area here that had garden rows in it last year, and it just got away with me at the end of the year. So I'm going to use a grubbing hoe and just break pieces up so I can get it out by the root the best I can. But this went to seed too, so this just has tons of grass seed in it that it's going to be an ongoing battle all this year. Sometimes when you just have so much going on in your life, you just can't get to everything. And I looked at this all the way through last year thinking, man, this is going to be a pain, and it's going to be, but it's just one of those things I'm going to have to deal with. There's nothing I can do about it at this point. So each day I'm just going to come out and work a little more through all these different rows and try to get all this grass out of these rows. And I've got so many things going on here once again, and I'm just doing this in phases. Here's a day, here's the second day coming out and going a little further up the row, and just getting all of that out of there so it's a workable surface. I'm going to have to put some mulch and stuff on top of this, but beside those beds there was all these little tiny containers in these crates that had strawberries in them, and they had weeded over as well. So I'm going to come back and just get those out of here and clean those up. There's some dead ones in here I'm going to have to empty. But basically, once I come through and get all those cleaned up, I'm going to stick those in a cold frame and go ahead and fertilize them and grow them on, because I'll just sell these at the farmer's market this spring as individual plants once I get everything taken care of. And one of the major chores I really want to do more of this year is propagation. I've been a little lax the last couple of years building the farm, and while I have done some propagation, I haven't done near enough. So, I showed how I do this in the last couple videos, but I've got a couple different varieties of Camasippers here, and this week it's just one of my things I'm going to do every week is stick some cuttings. And I think I've got about 40 some of these Camasippers here and about 20 some of another one. So I'm just going to get these, stuck and in containers. And at the end of that strawberry cold frame that I had out there, I had a little bit of space that I can fit 3 of these in. So I'm going to take these 3 out there and stick them in the end of that cold frame. And little by little, I've got 40 cold frames. I don't know if I can fill them all this year, but and I had some persimmons and these golden rain trees as seeds that I had in just a bed row in the ground. And I wanted to get those into pots and into a cold frame. This area here, I need to expand on this a little more. That area that I'm cleaning out in the garden in there has all those really large containers, and I want to get a lot of those out of there. The first 3 that I worked with here are different mints that I raise and then sell at the farmer's market. I use them for teas as well through the year. But they were starting to pop through the ground, so I wanted to get some good mulch on the top of those and move them into this area to their new home. So I got that accomplished. I had a bunch of comfrey sitting out there in those beds in one area as well that had rooted in these 1-gallon pots into the ground, and they're grown so much they're splitting the pots. So I wanted to go ahead and get those into true larger 1 gallons. And a few of these I'll probably sell at the farmer's market this spring, but I want to use these in the food forest area that I'm going to plant this year as well. Well, digging in there, I found one tuber that didn't freeze, I don't know how, in this area through the winter. So I'm going to put this in a pot or something and try to save this one dahlia that was left. And these are bergamot, or, they're kind of weedy, so I keep them in containers just like I do the mints. So I just went through and weeded all these, and I'm going to put a little bit of stuff on top of them as well. I've got all these ends of the rows that have all these perennial flowers in them, and I got to start coming through and cutting all that back, so I started on that this week. And in that one row that you saw that I'm clearing out, it had all these containers of peonies, and I want to use that for in-ground planting this year. So I cleaned out all these 1-gallon peonies and moved them into a different area in the nursery, and that gives me this space up through here once I move these other containers to work with. 2 of these containers I grew carrots in last year, and germination was okay, but it wasn't great. But this year, I don't know how they survived the winter, but I've got little baby carrots starting to grow in 2 of these that I'm going to save. Another area that I got to clean out is inside the high tunnel. These are Red's raspberries here in front of you here. And, I just had to cut all these back to the ground and cut them out of the blueberries off to the right-hand side there to some degree, and remove some tomatoes and stuff that were still left in here as well. I have a couple of these bench tops that I'm going to bring in here, and then I've got these 2x4 structures that I set on top of these metal posts, and I create an area in there for hardening off plants. And in the house, all the seedlings that I've been starting, some of these flowers are putting buds up to getting ready to flower. But these are all the cold season stuff. I've got to get them into that hardening area out there so I can make room for tomatoes and peppers and all the other stuff coming on. And the flowers, they're all doing great in the shelves there. But, on the way back into the house from where I'm working out there, I was looking at all the bulbs that are along the fence line. I planted these years ago, and these narcissus, there's several different nice varieties, but, when I see all this, it's just so uplifting, and I know spring is here, or really close to being here anyway, so it really makes me happy. So there you have this week on 3B Farm. There's never enough hours in the day, and this time of the year on a farm, there's just so much to do. When you have a farm and a nursery, there's just way more than any one person can do. I'm looking forward to the day when I get to the point that I'm really making enough money off the farm that I can hire people to help me work on the farm. In any case, that'll come in due time, but all you can do is get as much done as what you can. That's all you can do. As I get older, I move a little slower and I get a little less done during the day, but thank God the days are getting longer too, so that gives me more hours to make up for some of that. My tomatoes and peppers this year, the germination has been really bad for some reason, so I'm going to start some more tomato seeds, and I'm not sure if I have a whole lot of the pepper seeds left or not. I've got some, but I don't have near enough to cover what I'm going to need for the market this spring, and I would like to have some to use here in the garden to sell and use vegetables later in the year as well. And I'm going to have to start, the squash and a lot of that stuff here before long. I did start a tray of herbs this week, so it was nice to get that up, and that's been a few days ago, and now I do have some of those coming up as well, so that'll give me herbs to take to market. But cleaning up beds and putting more to make room to put more in the ground, where those peonies and stuff were in that one bed, I'm going to turn that into an in-ground planted bed this year. There's tons of stuff I got to do outside. I need to start getting trees in the ground. I did take part in a pitch competition that the Department of Agriculture here in West Virginia put on. And I did get full funding for, a fenced-in area for a food forest and the lumber and everything that I need to complete a 60 by 80 foot structure this year.
I have the steel that I got from a greenhouse in a little town called Philippi years ago, and I'm going to rearrange the steel and rebuild it in a different configuration. But with the funding that they're giving me, it'll give me all the lumber that I need for the walls to enclose the structure as well. So that gives me 2 more major projects to take on this year, which I'm very thankful for that money and the ability to do that. It would have taken me another year or 2 to be able to accomplish those things without this extra funding. And the pitch competition was fun. You know, met a lot of people in various areas of the horticulture field and beekeepers and such like that, and made some good contacts that, you know, in business, everything is about networking. Even in farming, nursery business, whatever, everything in life is about networking and knowing people, and people help people. And in the horticulture field, we're very lucky that most people in the field will help each other. There's some of them that take it from a business standpoint that are a little strange, but all in all, farmers take care of farmers, or people in horticulture in general. So it was really nice to go down and take part in that competition, and even better to receive the funding to help me get these projects done. And anyway, we're heading into another week, and we'll see what we get done on the farm this next week. So come back and enjoy this time with me. I do appreciate it. Subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you next week.